Well, hello everyone. Hello, Lowell.
Chris,
Hello everyone watching us, wherever you're watching us. And me and Lowell Greib are here at the Sport Lab Recovery Suite.
recovery suite, you got it.
We love it. It's in Huntsville, Ontario, Muskoka for anybody who's from out of town watching. And I know you are a few. I see my statistics, I see my demographics. So if you're ever up here and you need some recovery and check it out, we've done a couple columns on it, a couple reviews. So just go on the blog and see it. It's still there. You'll love it. Well, we're here because, well, we're friends and we work together in various things. I'm obviously vice president of the Muskoka United Football Club.
Yep,
You're working with the Muskoka United Football Club on some cool things.
very cool things. Yes. So this is our second year working in the world of what we call performance training.
Ah, gotcha. I like it.
So we've recoined the term dry land,
I like it.
and which is like the most awful term in the world as far as I'm concerned. It's non-descriptive of anything in sport. And strength and conditioning is my second least favorite term as well,
Yeah,
because there's so much focus on strength. So we recoined all of this
I
and
love
we've
it.
called it performance training, and that's what we're doing, and injury management or injury prevention actually with the MUFC as well.
Now, and I mean, you do lots of different athletes, right? You
Yep.
have, from Kyle Nelson from MMA.
Yep.
I know there was a few university sports teams and stuff, right?
Yeah, so we've worked in the world of varsity athletics. We still work with Nipissing University, their lacrosse team. We
Nice.
work with minor sporting
Yep,
organizations. We work with professional individual athletes. We
yep,
work with amateur individual athletes. So we've got this wide spectrum that
yes.
we've been really privileged of working with over the last, well, now 20 years in my professional practice. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. That's awesome. So as we're moving forward, and I love the way, how some of these old terms, dry land and fitness and strength and fitness, it doesn't say anything,
yep,
and it could mean 100 million things.
yep.
Um, what is some of the focus you do with each of these individual teams and athletes?
Yeah, so what we've done is kind of globally with the local football club is build a program that coaches can then follow
Okay.
to help build the capacity of the athlete
Yes.
within on their respective teams. And we've broken it down into a variety of different categories.
Mhm.
So you need to have acceleration in soccer. You
Yes.
need to be agile in soccer. You need to have good change of direction. You need good aerobic conditioning, right? Because
Yep.
you can run up to 10K in a soccer game,
Easily.
right? You
Yes.
need good anaerobic conditioning because there's an intensity component. So all of these bits and pieces have been taken into consideration
Yes.
in this performance training manual
Okay.
that we have now constructed for MUFC, and it's in its second rendition.
Nice.
But that way, the coaches have a resource that they can then apply to their athletes
I like it.
within the specific kind of categorizations of how an athlete needs to develop.
Yes, I like it, and I love that it's about developing athletes, and we've talked about this offline
Yes,
about how athletes need to develop as athletes first,
yes,
or at least
yes.
simultaneously, then as sport specific players.
100%. And again, this is kind of a systems recognition piece on our end is I have young kids as well, and
Yeah,
they're in soccer and figure skating and hockey and
yeah,
a variety of different things, gymnastics. And what I've noticed is that in minor sport, we are teaching the sport
yes,
um, almost exclusively.
yes,
And then there's the dry land,
yeah,
stuck in, tacked in, if we have an extra 10 minutes.
yeah,
The issue with that perspective, in my opinion, is that we're developing what we have defined as players, right? So those kids are then going to be very skilled or
yes.
trained in
Technically,
tactical and
yeah,
technical components of the sport. However, if that athlete can't run from point A to the ball fast enough,
yeah,
it doesn't matter how
exactly.
technical they are if they can't get their foot on the ball for the ball touch. So
Yes,
that's why we've started to put a lot more focus or making recommendations on focus in developing the athlete. So then those natural athletic abilities can be applied to being a better player.
I
So
like
we've
that.
delineated athlete versus player.
I like that. And there's nothing wrong with that because I think that, as we talked about before, if multiple sports athletes, athletes who play, like both my kids are soccer first,
Yep.
but they like basketball.
Yep.
They like volleyball. They like other sports. They like to go skating. They like,
Yep.
and we try to incorporate that in our daily lives
Yep.
and our weekly lives.
100%.
And they love fitness. Well, Dante doesn't love fitness. Juliet loves fitness training because it's a mix of all the different strengths and
Yep.
everything. It's not just kicking a ball around. It's my arm muscles, my stamina, my jumping, my everything, right?
Mhm.
And in order to keep growing them as athletes, we have to let them do all these different things,
Yep.
right? And that's why I love what you said about there's all these different components. It's not just can I dribble a ball. It's not just can I pass and shoot a ball or a puck or whatever,
Yeah.
right? It's can I actually run a lot? Can I is my stamina and my endurance up for the task of a full game of whatever sport I'm playing?
Exactly.
Can I double shift in hockey?
Yep.
Can I, you know what I mean?
Well, there's a lot of talk in some of the sports that have to have acceleration,
Yes.
the first three steps, right?
Yeah.
What are your first three steps like, right? Whether it be in hockey on skates, whether it be on the pitch in soccer, whether it
Basketball on
be
the court.
basketball on the court, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's a lot of chatter about first three steps.
Yeah.
But what are we doing
To make
to
that happen.
develop the first three steps, right? If you're not generating force or generating power in those first three steps to create acceleration,
Yes.
who cares whether you can do it with a ball in your foot or a basketball in your hand, or
Can't
whether you're on
exactly.
skates or a stick in your hand? It makes no difference. So we need to look at some of these rudimentary skills
Yes.
that then can be applied over to our sports. And I love the fact that you bring up the multi-sport, because that is not happening. It becomes and no fault of minor sporting organizations, because generally they're run by volunteers
Yes.
or voluntoolds.
Yes.
Depends. There's volunteers
Yes.
and voluntoolds.
And I have both.
And you I think are a voluntold. And, and but we got to hang on to our membership, right?
Yes.
Because the membership is what pays the fees, which
Yes.
we can run the. But the problem is that we then focus just on the sport. And we're not allowing for other things to happen. So the multi-sport pieces are very important.
They
And
are.
in fact, there is an athlete model, the International Ice Hockey Federation, what is it, the IIAF?
IIHF.
IAHF,
Yes.
yeah, International Ice Hockey Federation.
Federation.
That's right. So the IAHF actually has a model in their developing athletes,
Yes.
and they break it into off-season, preseason, and in-season.
I like that.
And even in the preseason, when there's a lot of ice time for
Yeah.
these hockey players, in their recommendation documents, twice a week is sport number 2
Yeah.
and sport number 3.
I like it.
No hockey, no hockey specific drills, no ice time, no
Go
specific
do something
performance training that's hockey specific.
Yeah.
It's your second sport and your third sport.
Yes.
Which is great. And that's really what we should be doing. And we look at the literature,
Yeah.
and it's very clear
Yes.
that the athletes who are multi-sport athletes as younger are the ones that tend to become the elite and the super
Yes.
elite, or the professionals.
Yes.
Generally speaking, there are exceptions to the rules, but generally speaking, across the board, as an athlete develops,
Yeah.
they can apply the skills and excel within their respective sports.
And that's cool because the one thing we encourage with our kids is try different sports.
Yep.
Basketball, like they both did basketball for a while.
Yep.
Now house league, you don't have to go up to another hyper intensive elite club sport. You can play rep soccer and then play house league basketball,
Sure.
or even pick up basketball once a week if that's available
Yeah.
to you. Which a lot of kids in the city, we need more available in Muskoka, but in the city, there's all kinds of gyms they can just go do pickup basketball.
Or
right?
we have school sports,
Or we have school sports,
right,
which
that
my
are
kids do.
inclusive and easy to get involved
Yeah.
with. Like there can be a competitive environment
Yes.
there, but it's not generated and driven around that
No,
environment.
it's
So
more about inclusive, everybody
exactly.
playing the sport.
So get involved in a couple
Exactly.
few sports at school and still have your,
Yeah.
soccer on the side or hockey on the side
Yeah,
as your kind of primary sport. That's totally fine. But
Yes.
when I can't do high school sport because I got to be on the ice or I got to be on the pitch or I
Well,
got to be, right? That's where we're losing out.
I remember Juliet came home. She goes, "I'm going to try out for volleyball, but I'm not sure because Juliet doesn't play soccer in Spokane anymore. But we'll talk about that later. But she's like, I'm not sure about if it's going to work with getting down to practices and stuff. And I said, well, I said, I said, find out. I said, at the very least, try out.
Mhm.
And if you don't make it or it doesn't work schedule wise, you don't make it, it doesn't work schedule wise. I don't know that if they've announced the team or not, but she went and she tried out, did all the tryouts, and
Yeah.
then she found out if I make the team, it's okay because it works out for the days. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. So even better. I
Yeah.
said, we can make this work. A lot of the girls on her team will come sometimes from school basketball or school volleyball, whatever, straight to the soccer practices, right? And it's like I'm like, this is awesome. Like a bunch of kids who are doing all these different things, and all the parents are like all for it, right?
Yep.
And the coach is like, yeah, that's great. Like that's how you're supposed to be,
Yep.
Yep. And so we need to get everybody like that.
Yep. Just do different stuff.
And even if you're like me and you have time, like in the summertime, me and the kids will go over to Spruce Glen Public School, which is close to me,
Yep.
and they've got outside baskets. Get a few people together. Sometimes there's people shooting hoops there when we get there. Just shoot some hoops together.
Exactly.
Have a nice day shooting basketball. It's not using the same muscles.
Yeah.
You're doing a different sport. You're having fun.
Yep.
Make it.
Get on your bike.
Get on your bike.
Go to the lake.
Yeah. Go swim.
Like
Go swim. Yeah.
we're so privileged here
We are
to be able to just
We
go
are.
for a hike, go for a bike,
It's
go
true.
for a swim. Like it's all at our fingertips, and yet
And I like
are
to,
we doing it?
I don't think most of us are.
Yeah.
We do that, but and the one thing I like to mention is because we brought that up is you don't have to join another organized sport.
No.
Get it if you can get a tennis racket and go to the tennis thing
Yeah.
and play tennis with some friends. If you can, go for a hike, go for a bike, go for a swim.
Yeah.
Most of us are within a very short distance of a place we could swim.
Yeah.
Those are other activities that are non-sport specific that are also building up your athleticism in other ways.
Yeah. And disc golf.
Oh, disc golf's awesome.
Right? Lots of walking, hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
The cost of entry is like almost nil.
It's
There's
minimal.
so many free
Yeah.
courses. Like
Yeah, that's another
easy,
great one.
right? Just so easy. We have a community course for free right in town, right? So,
Exactly. And you could do that as a team.
yep.
You could actually tell your whole team, we're going to play disc golf once a week
Yep.
on Friday nights.
Yep.
Let's go all as a team building.
A movement-based social activity.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
So, and I love that we're talking about this and putting it out there because it's really important for people to know that. And I mean, I didn't know all these things and that you're bringing up, but I did know, from reading, it was important for the kids to try different sports. It was important for them to play different sports. It was important for them to be active in different manners than just their specific sport.
Yep.
So we just tried to integrate whatever we could do when we could do it. And on a regular basis. But like Dante is going to be a camp counselor learning techniques this summer again because he did it last year.
Yeah.
The good thing about that is being out there running around with the kids. It's not soccer, but it's active.
Oh yeah.
You're out there. You're manning the kids
nonstop.
Yeah. You're running around with them. You're playing games with them.
Yeah.
Maybe you're on the water with them. Like you're doing stuff, right? And the best part is nothing has to do with soccer there. So then when he's at soccer, it's way more enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's at a full day of activity with no soccer.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, that's one. So, what else do you want to tell the people? What else is going on?
Well, that's kind of the global piece
That's the global piece.
I think there's another interesting caveat that we've kind of built in.
Hi, everyone. I just want everyone to know, if you haven't heard, we've got merch. That's right, merchandise through Printful on-demand printing. We got a ton of really cool options for you. We've got toques, we've got hats, we've got our logos, we've got the Ciao for Now quote, and we've got some really cool prints from our friend Anwin Westgarth that she did for a book I wrote back in the day, which will also come back on for sale. And you can get one of her graphic designs on a t-shirt. Buy one, buy them all. It's a way to support. She gets a cut. We get a cut to do our great things. She gets a cut to support her art schooling, and everybody wins. So support us. and get something in return. Great little merchandise, some nice shirts, nice hoodies, nice toques, nice hats, nice t-shirts that you can wear and look cool and be original and tell your friends. Anyways, thanks for listening. Don't forget to hit the chrisoshow.blog/shop to check all that out, and on to the rest of the show.
So we have a few teams that are now doing what we call athlete profiling.
Oh, I like it.
So what athlete profiling is actually taking some of these athletic abilities and quantifying.
Okay.
So we have measurement technologies that allow us to see how much force can an athlete generate on a jump.
Oh, yes,
Right?
yes.
So how fast can an athlete move back and forth? How quickly can an athlete cover 30 meters,
Yeah.
right? How fast can they accelerate over the first 10 meters? How strong are they? So these are all metrics that we can now measure,
Yes.
which is, you think, oh, well, why do you need all that data? Well, if we think about it, I love data, number one. I will use data at the wazoo, but how does that apply back to the team?
Yeah.
So what we're doing, and this is a bit of a pilot project with the organization, is reporting back to the coaches the profiles of their athletes,
Of each one, each
of
individual.
each individual athlete, and then they have a spectrum.
Yes.
So they've been harnessed with the actual objective knowledge about how fast, how strong, how powerful these athletes are.
Yes.
Rudimentary athletic base skill. So what they can do now is augment their coaching to be able to build skill or build athletic ability. And part of that athletic ability, you may have a top third that are really good at aerobic conditioning.
Yes.
And they can run and run and run and run, and your bottom two-third is not great.
Yes.
Well, are you going to develop a practice for that top third when around aerobic conditioning, when there's something else that they could be working on? Maybe they're not as powerful.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not as quick. Maybe their acceleration isn't quite as good.
Yes.
So then what the coach can do is start segmenting their teams
Nice.
to be able to say, okay, this group, you're going to do this.
Because you need to focus on growing. You're good at these
Yeah.
two things, but we need you to get better at this.
Exactly. And this bunch is going to work on this. So
Yes.
that's one way that coaching can start changing.
Yeah.
The other interesting piece is you can think that your team is okay
Yeah.
or good because across the board they all perform well.
Yes.
But is that up to standard?
Gotcha.
So with objective data, we now have some inkling of what some of these should be, these level of athletic ability it
Yeah.
should be at even an elite level.
Gotcha.
So we can say, okay, this person's really great at aerobic conditioning,
Yes.
but at the elite level, there's a gap.
Gotcha.
So they can still get better.
Yeah.
So we can still kind of funnel them up to
that next level.
that next level if that's the level they're looking to achieve.
Gotcha.
Because there is some now normative data
Yes.
for the elite.
Yes.
And as we collect data for an organization, not only can we use it to profile the athlete and show their progress,
Yes.
and that's the other plus is over the course of the season, we can profile multiple times.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So that athlete who may not be able to generate force and jump,
Yes.
which is a skill that you need in soccer, but the second profiling, they've made progress. That's great, right?
Yes.
So they see that their work is paying off, right? The third profiling,
Yes.
they're improving again. And that third profiling we'll do at the end of the season,
Gotcha.
which will then help them and their parents be able to identify areas that they can work on
Yes.
in the off season,
Nice.
which then sets the stage for the preseason, and
Love it.
we cycle through again. So it's great for athlete development. It's great for coaching development.
Yes.
And then if you think really outside the box,
Yeah.
how can this help an organization?
Well, it leads to wins. It leads to more people coming involved because they see the training and they see the elite athletes. So it attracts more people to what you're doing.
100%. And it will also help the organization identify talent
Yes. Earlier on. Yes.
and because we know the profile, we start learning the
Yes.
profile of what may make a great soccer player.
Yes.
The other thing is a lot of organizations just want their kids to succeed,
Yes.
right?
One way or another.
Yeah, like you may have a kid come in and they're like really excellent at certain areas and just really not so excellent at
Yes.
others. But as you learn what makes a soccer player a great soccer
Yeah.
player, you may be able to say to that kid's like, I know you're joining soccer and there's a social component. There's not just about metrics and becoming a really good soccer
Yeah.
player, but your profile
Yes.
is more indicative of you being an excellent, I don't know, baseball player.
Yes.
So as an organization,
Yes.
I encourage you to go try baseball because I think you're really going to excel at that,
Yes.
right? It
I
helps.
still want you to play soccer.
Yeah. But
But
maybe baseball should be
your rep
yeah,
sport.
exactly, right?
Maybe if soccer's your house league and
Yeah.
baseball's your rep, or,
Yeah.
or other way around.
Yeah. So the profiling helps us kind
Yes.
of in a larger picture be able to maybe do some talent identification at a community level, right?
Yeah.
You see this at an elite level with
Yes.
like the Royal Bank, what's it
Oh yeah, I
called?
forget what it's called. Yeah.
The testing that they do with athletes and be able to identify them and stream them relatively
Yes.
early into a national sporting organization because they show talent potential,
Yeah, somewhat. Yes.
right? Um, but we can do that at a local level as long as you've got the capacity to be able to measure,
Yes.
which we have now got the capacity to do these.
And now we can
measurements.
do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it was like you're right. Because yeah, there's that. I forget what whatever the elite athlete kind of
Training ground.
Training ground. That's a
Yeah.
training ground. Nice.
Yeah.
Don't remember. So yes, we could do that here locally, and we have athletes that end up going elsewhere and succeeding.
Yep.
That go into better programming that keep going, right?
Yep.
And it's and they coming from small towns have to work even harder to get to other places
Yep.
because it's like, well, who are you?
Yeah.
And I think that that's a great idea where we can kind of know, like Archer Westgard, he's in the States playing baseball.
Mhm.
He's on a good track that way,
Mhm.
right? I won't mention all the soccer players. That would be too self-serving.
But it's true. We've got some great baseball players coming out of the
Yeah.
area. We've got some great soccer players coming
Yeah.
out of the area. We've got some great individual sport athletes coming out of the
Yeah.
area. But if we're able to kind of recognize raw talent
Early.
we can mature that talent.
Yes, in the right direction.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of hand holding, right? Like we're just using metrics. And
Yes.
it's bigger than just running metrics. Like obviously the athlete needs to enjoy what they're doing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a social component with some
100%.
friends and so there's other aspects that need to be factored in. But when we're just looking through this objective measurement lens, there is really good potential for us to be able to help athletes early.
Yeah.
And help them even identify where some of their weaknesses are.
Yes. Like where can you get better?
Yeah.
Yeah. What can you be faster, stronger?
Yeah.
Jump higher.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, throw harder.
Yeah. Which is a whole nother topic of conversation.
No, that's next level, right? Yeah.
Well, it's also encouraging to build on your weakness.
Yes. So it's telling somebody, hey, this is not your strong suit, and we want you to get better at it. But then how do you do that and not hurt their feelings?
Yeah.
Or not make a kid discouraged and saying, oh, I suck at something, right? It's all how you handle it.
Well, and it's trying to get, and this is human nature.
Yes.
Having somebody do something, odds are when they have a weakness,
Yes.
they don't like doing it.
No, they don't.
Like I know my weakness as an endurance athlete is strength.
Yes.
I just cannot get into the gym frequently to lift weight.
Yeah.
Should I be? Yes. Does all the literature suggest that I should be to decrease injury and be strong? Yes.
Yes.
Do I? No. Right? Why? Because I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I know I need to do it, right? And that's same with the athlete development models is we know if there's a weakness, we have to kind of, and this is where coaching plays.
Yeah.
Like how can we kind of play a Jedi mind trick on the
Yes.
kid
Yes.
to get them to do something that they probably don't like to do to help them mature to become better athletes. I
I
mean,
think driven kids will do it.
Oh, 100% driven kid, but driven kids are going to succeed no matter what.
Yeah, like I think driven kids with like lofty goals,
Yeah.
um, when you see their goals and you're like, okay, well, how are you gonna get there?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, this, and this. And I'm like, well, and then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And then once you say that, well, what else is there? And like, I watch it at home with one of the two. And, well, the other one's starting now.
Yeah.
The older one hates training, but loves to play.
Yeah.
All right. As soon as that guy starts to love training, he'll be phenomenal.
Yeah.
The younger one loves all of it,
Yeah.
but hates one specific thing or two specific things that she has to do.
Yeah.
She forces herself to do them.
That's good.
And I'm like, you're only 12. That's pretty
Yeah.
mature for you to do that.
Yeah.
Because normally I would have to bug or whatever. Oh, I got like she gets on her schedule
Yeah.
and she's just like, yeah, I gotta go do my footwork.
Yeah.
She like she's pretty good at it, but she just like she hates it, right?
Yeah.
And my and she does her foot pat like she's passing like short passing drills
Yeah.
to get her passing faster, smarter, and better control
Yeah.
off the thing off the wall, right?
Yeah.
I set up a thing in the basement. She hates it, but it's working.
Yeah.
And she's getting better at all this stuff.
Yeah.
And she sees it. She sees the improvement, and she forces herself. It's how do we get these kids to be like all the kids to think with that driven, goal-oriented mentality,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm gonna achieve this. This is what I want to get to.
Yeah.
And I hate this, but it's gonna help me get it.
Well, and hindsight's always the best sight.
Yes.
We worked with a team last year, a rep team, boys. I'm not going to say which team.
Okay.
And they, boys, young men, and they hated aerobic conditioning. Yet they were in a sport where they actually had to have aerobic capacity. So there's like short bouts of, with a quick transition, that they would be high intensity, but then some rest time.
Yes.
Aerobic, not their thing.
Yeah.
But we knew as a team that we were asked to come in and help condition,
Yeah.
performance train. So we did. And we started to aerobically train. And these guys, like on occasion, the back door would be open, guy would be disappear, they'd be outside like Ralphing in the snowbank or something because they're being pushed way outside their comfort zone and doing something that they absolutely hated.
Yes.
At the end of the year, they all had pretty good engines.
Yes.
They played better. They won more games. Like didn't feel like they were dragging at the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Right. And they outperformed the opposition because they started to see the benefits.
Yes.
The problem is it takes that time for you to see the benefit, right?
Yeah.
So
Consistency.
exactly, right? It's like nothing feels good. I come from a world of running.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate running. I hate running. Well, how much time did you put in? Well, I run like 3 times a week for like 20 minutes. Well, you're not gonna love running 3 times a week for 20 minutes. Like I'm not a soccer guy.
Yeah.
I can't just show up and kick a ball around for 20 minutes and think I'm gonna love soccer,
Yeah.
right? It takes time. It takes
Yes.
doing what you do. It's just like this. It takes time
Yes.
to be able to mature a specific aspect
Yeah.
of performance before you see
The benefit.
the outcomes as it relates to wins and losses,
Yes.
right? Coming back to the profiling, when we're doing that 3 times a year, you can see those
You see the growth.
stepwise in that
Yeah.
growth, right? So that's another piece that, otherwise you're like, well, I run the beep test and did I go up one step? Maybe. Did it translate into anything else? Maybe not. Now we have objective measurements to say this is where you were,
Yeah.
here's where you are, here's where we should be going.
Yeah.
Subsequent year, here's where you are, which is this much higher than you were last year.
Yeah.
Here's where we need to go, retest, here's where you're going. And then it continues to be this maturation of the athlete because now they're starting to accumulate
Yes.
athlete information beyond just their tactical and
And they're-
technical components.
Yeah, and they're seeing, and it's like, listen, yeah, it's going to take months to get benefits. It's
Yeah.
going to take months to see growth. It's going to take months to see real outcomes.
Yeah.
But if you do it, and you start seeing them, that's why I love like what you said about the 3 things. Now we can show them, hey, you went from here to here, but now look at this jump at the end of the year. You went from here to here.
Yeah.
Right. And now they're like, oh, okay, wow, this is working, and that gets them more motivated.
Mhm,
Okay, it's
mhm.
working, it's working, it's working. Um, it's hard to motivate kids. It's hard to get them to it's hard to motivate adults. It's hard to motivate anybody. I
Yep.
get try to motivate myself some days.
Yeah, we live in a busy world, so yeah, it's hard to get up and keep moving and
Yeah.
doing stuff, and yet we expect our kids to do it all the time. So
Yeah, one thing I started doing when I'm with my kids at any practice, with Dante's group, I'll try and jump in if there's space for me to jump in.
yeah,
Like one time I was doing some of the runs, like
yeah,
the sprints,
yeah,
right, with them. 'Cause they needed a partner for a kid, so it's like, okay, I'll do it, right? Why not? But then with Juliet, what I take it to do, especially in the summer. Now it's kind of hard because of where we're training in the
Mhm.
winter, but in the summer, I would take long walks. I do like 5K walking
Mhm.
just while she was at practice and still get to watch the scrimmage part.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Fresh air, getting some just activity, stretching your legs, like just doing that. You do that 4 or 5 times a week, and then you add some other, like, some weights and this and that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go crazy. You just
No.
throw little stuff in your life
Yeah.
gradually.